So now here in AI Wellness, we focus on longevity, right? So that's a very important word, and also is where all this tendency goes to, all the wellness. But let me ask you a couple of questions. So the first one, what's wellness for you? How would you describe wellness?
I think wellness is a state of well-being, right?
Okay.
So what that means is that in your current state, in your current model of your day-to-day life, do you feel like you're living in the utmost state of well-being? Do you feel like you're lacking, or do you feel like I'm actually living at my full potential? If you're looking at a way, so how can I maximize my life? That's proper longevity, in my opinion.
Nice. I'm a personal trainer, so I know exactly what you mean, because most people are with me, they're behaving, then like, yeah, I'm doing the exercise, I'm doing this, but at the end of the day, I don't know if they're following their diet, right? Because I'm not there in the entire time. As long as we are face to face, I know they're gonna do good.
When I'm not around, I'm successful when they know what to do. That's the difference. It's in you're good when I'm not around. That's what I'm trying to do.
Hello, everybody. This is AI Wellness Podcast. My name is Fernandez. I'm representing Neuro 20, and we're here for the Move Strong podcast. I have an amazing guest today. You know, I never let you down. So welcome to our podcast. This is
Yoni.
Yoni, what you do?
I'm a physical therapist. I was trained in New York. I'm from New York City. I was trained at NYU, and I've been doing essentially orthopedic outpatient physical therapy for about 12 years now. And I moved to LA about 2-3 years ago and opened up my own concierge physical therapy practice over the past year, where I go to patients' houses and clients' houses.
That's convenient.
Yeah, it's easy for them. I have a whole setup, I have a table, I have equipment, and this way the idea is focusing on quality and convenience for the client.
Nice. So now tell me, what made you focus on that specific area of wellness?
Sure. So in physical therapy, there's actually a lot of different routes you could take when you go to school. You could do neurocare, you could do cardiac, pulmonary. I connected most with orthopedic outpatient because ultimately what ends up happening is you create a really strong relationship with the client themselves. So that doesn't just mean in a hospital, you're typically going to see a patient, you're going to get them out of bed, you're going to walk them, see you later, probably never going to see you the rest of my life. With an orthopedic outpatient care, it's literally I'm trying to be like a friend of yours, because at the end of the day, what a physical therapist is really there meant to do, which is what people necessarily don't understand, a physical therapist is there to educate the patient how to take care of themselves.
That's important.
So the only way a patient's really going to understand how to take care of themselves is if they trust you. So the idea of really an orthopedic outpatient is a great place to build trust with a patient that's actually going to last their whole lives.
Yeah.
Because once they meet me, they essentially have a connect with me for forever. Like they have my email, they have my phone number, so if anything goes wrong down the road, they know where to contact me. So the really beautiful thing about my field is you really have a very big social element. There's a lot of talking, there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of just focus on what the patient really needs in the moment. We're there to supply it for you, and that's why I really love what I do.
Nice. That's one, convenient, two, really helpful, and two, that's good for you and for them that they're connected, like you said, for life. Because most of the problems, they don't get solved in one session, right? Am I correct?
Correct. So often it takes a bunch of sessions. Usually the typical thing is 6 to 8 weeks, but it could be a lot shorter, it could be a lot longer. The point of that, what I was saying, the relationship, is that I'm gonna do what's best for your interests. So the idea is if you know, like, listen, Yoni, I only have 2 weeks, then I'm gonna make that work. Or if, listen, I got all the time in the world, then we're gonna create a plan, because it's ultimately about what the client wants as their goals. That's the first day we say, hey, what are your goals? What do you wanna do within this therapy? Why are you coming here? And the idea is we work together. It's a collaborative approach. It's not just I'm gonna say, do these 10 exercises, I'll see you later. It's like, hey, what do you wanna do today? What do you wanna focus on? What do you wanna conquer? Because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to empower the client. Yeah. That's really the most important thing. It's because when I'm not around, I'm successful when they know what to do. That's the difference. It's in you're good when I'm not around. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I'm a personal trainer, so I know exactly what you mean, because most people are with me, they're behaving, then like, yeah, I'm doing the exercise, I'm doing this, but at the end of the day, I don't know if they're following their diet, right? Because I'm not there in the entire time. As long as we are face to face, I know they're gonna do good. But when you live in, like, you have to trust that they're doing the right thing, right?
Yes, for sure. I'm curious, how do you feel like you create rapport or relationship with a client in the personal training space?
Yeah, well, first of all, I do in person, like the training. So I'm always with them at least twice a week. Sure. So that's one. Two, I'm always texting them. One, I open that line of communication. Like you said, they're gonna have all your information, right? So to create this rapport and this relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same way. I want to create a relationship that is gonna last if they want for the rest of their life. Even if they're not my clients anymore, I have some clients that they move and they're still texting me about their food, or like, I found this gym, or yada yada yada. So that's the main rapport. Like, I do it over text most of the time, because sometimes I'm training people, so they cannot call me. And two, with some of them, not everybody, I do weekly phone calls.
Nice.
Yeah. So with these phone calls is that I find out, hey, how you been, in your week? Because sometimes, like you said, they go on a trip for a couple of weeks. So I'm always testing them, like, hey, how's everything going? So I always say, I'm just either one phone call away or one text away. And most of the time I have this lady, for instance, that she went on a cruise ship. She was texting me, like, look what I'm gonna eat. And like that. So I think that's really cool.
That.
So what's what you do regarding that?
For me, that is the ultimate priority when I first meet a client. Is my goal is I need to get them to trust me. So ultimately what that means is I practice with a sense of empathy. What empathy means is that you have your situations, you have things that have led you to this point where you're usually in pain or discomfort. Instead of me just jumping to a solution, if anyone's been in a relationship, there's a common error where your partner kind of tells you what's wrong and you just say, all right, fix it, this. The first step is actually just listening. That's why we sit in a chair, and actually it's even in PT school, they're like, sit lower than your patient. You don't want to act like you're dominating your patient. You want them to feel in a sense of comfort of this person who just wants to understand me. And honestly, that's the majority of the first day, where the patient just says, I have A, B, C, D, this is what's led to it, and I'm just writing notes. And ultimately what it's doing is showing the patient I care, which is what you're saying. When you're texting your client on the cruise ship, when you could easily say, hey, you're on a cruise ship, leave me alone. What you're showing them is I, Abe, care about this patient right now because that's what I meant to do. The training, that's great. That's ultimately where I want you to go. Same thing with physical therapy. Everything is leading to a point of exercise. That's what most research supports. It's really about exercising and movement and mobility. But the first step, if you don't develop trust with your client, I think it's useless. You're never going anywhere. You're never building that foundation. So once you listen to them, the big thing that we use typically is then we educate people, because that's our degree. Most PTs have doctorates in physical therapy, which means we've gone through about 8 years of schooling to get to where we are. So with that schooling, which was a great tip when I first started, my boss was like, use that schooling. Don't be embarrassed. Don't try to dumb down yourself. But also don't try to embarrass your patient. The point is, you know how anatomy works. You know how the body's supposed to function and what it's supposed to do. So explain that to patients. You don't explain to them as if they went to PT schools. Explain to them in a way they'll understand.
Exactly. Yep.
And so now this is the process. I built trust with them because I've listened to you. Then I've educated you, which is essentially showing what I'm worth to you. And now the last step, which is the ultimate, it's the signing of the whole contract. Now we're going to develop a plan how you're going to overcome the situation you've been in right now. So what that means is this is what's gotten to you. And usually it's some kind of patterns that led you along the way to have pain. This is the step-by-step plan that we're going to create via the exercise, via home exercise, maybe nutrition, not necessarily my portfolio, but it is relevant. For me, it's just these are the things that are going to make you avoid having that pain, and these are the solutions that you're going to keep, and then you'll understand how your body works. Because like I said, right now, we're hopefully going to conquer it over the next couple of weeks. But what happens if 3 years from now, my shoulder starts hurting me again? Is the first solution, oh, I got to call John, say what's up? No, the idea is, oh, yeah, I remember when I worked with Yoni, he said, my shoulder's doing this, rotate it, stuff like that. That's the ultimate successful solution. That's what we're trying to do. And that's what I personally practice.
Yeah, so tell me, Yoni, what's the main thing that you notice that your clients do before they come see you? Like, they do a lot of DIY stuff that they saw on social media. Like, oh yeah, I saw this lady that was doing the cracking here, cracking there, or some flexibility movements or stuff like that. So what's the most common thing that you notice that people doing when they don't able to do it, and like, okay, now is when I have to go see a physical therapist?
Sure, I'll tell right now, I'll tell it to the camera. We all know you go on Google, everybody. We're all aware, you're all searching up your injury and what's going on, and that's totally fair, you should do that. But the beautiful thing is when you come to the office, they say like, I think maybe I have this. I think the real skill of being a professional is not to just discredit that and not just be like, I don't care about that. Is listen, just like, okay, that's what you've heard. Let me explain how I see it. And that's it. And most people go online and they research things, and it's usually a much more dramatic thing than what is actually occurring with them that day. So the idea is to hear that out, but just explain in a more practical way. The more you're able to take this kind of, oh my God situation to them and then bring it all down into a simple solution, that's what I think patients respond to the most, and that's what they appreciate the most.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to have a dramatic life. Nobody wants drama in their life, but the idea is Google has its purpose, but also if you have any issues, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you out.
Yeah. So now here in AI wellness, we focus on longevity, right? So that's a very important word, and also is where all this tendency goes to, all the wellness. But let me ask you a couple of questions. So the first one, what's wellness for you? How would you describe wellness?
Sure. I think wellness is a state of well-being, right?
Okay.
So what that means is that in your current state, in your current model of your day-to-day life, do you feel like you're living in the utmost state of well-being? So what does that mean? Do you feel like you're lacking, or do you feel like I'm actually living at my full potential? Ultimately, that's what I think wellness is that you have a certain perspective. You have an idea of where you want to be. When you're hitting wellness, you're hitting that mark. And that kind of leads into longevity. Longevity is essentially taking your body, taking what you're given, and seeing what can I do to essentially maximize its potential. And everything along that concept of longevity, if you're along that route, and obviously you're not doing anything harmful, you are achieving proper longevity, in my opinion. That could be, some people it's mobility, some people it's stretching, some people it's exercise. It doesn't matter. The point is, if you're looking at a way, so how can I maximize my life? That's proper longevity, in my opinion.
Nice. That's a great definition right there. Yeah, we live this guy. It's good. So now let me ask you another question. So because I believe in testimony. Testimony is the most powerful tool that we can use, right? One, as professionals, and two, as referrals, because at the end of the day, it's like when people watch a good movie, they're always gonna recommend it, right? So tell me, what result or transformation are you most proud of, like in your clients?
Sure. I mean, there's two kind of clients, because I work in orthopedics, which means anything that's along the human body in a very classic sense. So the one most, I think, relatable injury is a torn ACL. There's many people who are athletes or even non-athletes who go, let's say, on a ski trip, or they're going running or going to play basketball. They used to be athletes and they haven't moved around, and they go and they tear their ACL. They come in, they see me. My job is to essentially run them through the whole checklist of how their rehab is going to happen if they're going to get surgery. Good 9 times out of 10, patients will start crying, because ultimately what I'm saying is that you're going to have to go through a year-long rehab. Now, these days, rehab's becoming a lot quicker, but if you talk to most surgeons, it's usually about a year till you're back to where you were. And that includes also people who like torn their Achilles tendon, which is a very serious injury. What's so shocking to them is that they have to essentially adapt a new life. So when you have a patient who starts crying with you, and your idea is to stay in that moment, because if they're looking to you, you're the hope out. You're the one who's going to drag them away from this position, and you're going to guide them step by step. And usually at the end of that, if you educate them and say, first week's going to look like this, third week's going to look like this, 6 weeks going to look like that, suddenly at the end of the session, they're like smiling and happy. They know they have a whole year long of rehab ahead, but the point is, I've done my job to essentially ease their concerns and explain, I've seen this before, I've done this before. The idea is, we will conquer this together. And that takes someone from a place of being really vulnerable and really essentially uneasy to a place of feeling stable. That's longevity, that's wellness. That's the beauty of what we get to do. We get to go deep in with their pain and walk with them all the way out.
Yeah, wow, that's powerful, man.
Yeah, that's the cool part of what we do, and that's why a big part of our, going back to empathy, you kind of need empathy as your first start, because people are coming with their problems. The word, it's physical therapist, so the word therapy is in our title. So the idea is, we're not just about exercise. It's a little bit more to it. It's a little bit more nuanced. It's a lot about communication. It's about education. All these things play into one big ultimate achievement that we're trying to get to. And that's the beauty of what keeps our days fun. Because every time a client comes to us, it could all be presented in a different way. The fun part is, how can I be better at illustrating where I want them to go? And that never changes, because we're always trying to be better. That's the sign of a true professional. You're always looking, how can I improve where I'm at? And that's what we're trying to do for our clients. And that's what we hope our clients feel when we talk to them.
Nice, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now here in AI Wellness, also we focus and we believe in biohacking.
Sure.
So do you use any tools or any other help specifically? Could be technology, like I use EMS.
Sure.
But there's other things that you use to biohack. Do you believe in biohacking or not? Again, do you use
I feel
tools
like
that can help you? They can help your clients to recover faster, or to have a better session with you.
Yeah, if I would group biohacking as just an extra source of material that I can use to essentially accelerate rehab, I 100% use what you use. Like NMES is one of the most important things, especially after a rehab, especially after an ACL. People's quads turn off. They become noodles. It's really common. And as much as I can make them try to do an exercise with their quads, they need that extra help. So almost I prescribe NMES. There's NMES, there's blood flow restriction training, there's low light laser. It's like all these things to me are a form of, I guess, biohacking. But the point I look at, if any biohacking is going to essentially accelerate your rehab and accelerate your recovery, and it does not cause damage, all good, all pro. The way you look at it as a physical therapist, though, is that everything always needs to be coupled with some form of exercise training. That's most research articles. Biohacking on itself typically doesn't necessarily do its job, but when you couple all biohacking with actual exercise and actual training, that's to me the perfect solution and the perfect combination when what's best for the patient. So I'm very pro.
Yeah, no, that's great. Since we're talking about adding more stuff, or let's say some sort of a partnering together all these different methods.
Sure.
If somebody wants to partner with you, or somebody wants to look for you and maybe get a physical therapy session, how are they gonna contact you? So please share your social media, phone number, email.
Sure. I actually have no social media on purpose.
What?
Yeah. It's probably not a good marketing idea, but it's good for my social health.
That's important.
My mental health, I should say. So you can find me on my website. It's called nefeshpt.com. My number is 424-335-9015.
Nice. So yeah, there you have it, people. If you need some physical therapy, come see Yoni, or maybe you want to partner with him as well. You have his info. Probably is gonna be linked somewhere in this episode. So this was Yoni, physical therapist here in LA. I'm A. Fernandez. I'm your host and Neuro 20 EMS trainer. So stay tuned, because there's gonna be more episodes, more guests, and I will see you in the next episode.